Yeah, my name's Ty O'Mara. I'm the police chief here in Ashland, and the You Have Options program was created here at the Ashland Police Department back in roughly 2010, 2011. And the purpose of the You Have Options program is to remove the barriers that sexual assault survivors face in reporting a sexual assault to the police department. We recognize that sexual assault survivors, they don't process their victimization, their trauma the same way that somebody that has been robbed or their house has been burgled or something. And so we know that there's a lot of additional barriers to reporting, and what we want to do is remove those barriers as much as possible to encourage survivors to get help. And what we're concentrating really is getting the serial perpetrators held accountable, because we know that if somebody offends once, they're likely going to be offending again and again. We'd rather have the long-term benefit of removing somebody from the community in a meaningful way and in a way that is supportive of the survivors, making sure that they get the emotional support that they need, than having the short term, we have somebody right now, but we did it at the expense of the survivor, and we don't have as substantial a case against the person. So, person or online, you can provide us as much or as little information as you want. You can provide third-party information. You can say, my friend was sexually assaulted. You can say, I was sexually assaulted and here's all the evidence, but I don't want to do anything with it because I don't feel comfortable going forward. You can say that I want a full investigation. You can say that I want this documented, but I don't want to be contacted by law enforcement. I just want to be contacted by a sexual assault advocate. We really leave it in the survivor's hands as much as possible. Make a report anonymously. Most perpetrators are repeat offenders, and most perpetrators are known to the victim. It's your classmate, it's your dorm mate, it's somebody that you're on a first date with, whatever. It's somebody that's known to you in some capacity. And that's one of the biggest obstacles to reporting, because then that brings in this whole other dynamic of, is the survivor in a position to go say that my father assaulted me, my uncle, my brother, my boyfriend, my neighbor, my classmate, my dorm mate, this guy who's also friends with all of my friends. If I report on this person, am I going to be excluded from my circle of friends because they want to believe him and not believe me? That's one of the biggest barriers to reporting. Very few people report sexual assaults to the police. Very few people reach out and ask for help, like somewhere between 10% and 25%, something like that. And in Oregon specifically, the percentage of sexual assault survivors that reach out for help is very, very small. People don't get the help that they need. So if you don't feel comfortable asking me for help, then ask a sex assault advocate for help, ask a therapist for help, ask a medical professional for help. It's when you are forced to carry that burden on your own and internalize it, that's when it revisits the damage upon you every day. And if you get that power outside of your body and get it into the ear of a police officer, an advocate, a medical person, a therapist, somebody that can take in that information, it removes some of the power that it has over you.
To sexual violence is rooted heavily in believing in prevention and really acknowledging that we live in a rape supportive culture. So we are here to address the culture we live in and to hold offenders accountable for their actions. We really reject things like victim blaming. We really understand that there are many reasons why people don't feel safe to come forward and report. We also believe in the importance of being trauma informed in our approach to response work. So understanding the ways in which trauma can impact the brain and body are crucial to really being able to meet a survivor where they're at and to be able to help them navigate their healing journey. So the work that we do on our prevention education team is engaging students and talking about consent and setting healthy boundaries and being able to communicate about what they want in their life, whether that's related to sex and sexuality or just related to like the things that they need to be a successful human and college student. We know that 1 in 4, 1 in 5 women, 1 in 6 boys under age 18, 1 in 2 trans individuals will experience sexual violence in their lifetime. So understand that in almost any room that you're in, there's going to be survivors of sexual violence in that room. Victimization rates are really high in this culture. We need to believe survivors when they come forward. We need to provide safe spaces for them to tell their stories and find support. False reporting, nationally, the rates are around 3 to 6%. So the vast majority of people who come forward to talk about sexual violence are looking for support and healing. And as a culture, we need to acknowledge that, and we need to learn how to respond in ways that are trauma-informed, that are affirming, that lead to people feeling empowered to tell their stories and finding connection. It's when we're young, we need to talk to children about boundaries, about asking before we touch each other's bodies, to really normalize consent within our culture so that people who don't care about consent become very obvious. The vast majority of offenders of sexual violence are male identified, and it's actually about 5% of the male population worldwide that are offenders, that are repeat in nature. So the average perpetrator has between 14 and 300 victims in their lifetime. So we know that the vast majority of men are not doing this. We also need to build a culture where men feel able to intervene, to be allies, to address language, to address behavior and harassment, to speak out and to be a part of a solution, especially since we recognize that most men are not actually perpetrating sexual violence. We're the Women's Resource Center. We're feminists and we love men. And